Hello everyone, this is Professor Valdez Gant, and this is the orientation video for the Math 1316 Trigonometry course for TCC Connect. And I'm doing this video just to make sure that everyone understands how to navigate through my TCC, as well as how to navigate through MyMathLab. And in addition to that, want to let you know all the things that are available in my TCC in our actual virtual course, as well as I want to give some tips and pointers on how to properly use MyMathLab in order to maximize your learning experience while you're in this course. This video is being recorded for the spring 2017 semester. But this video will also be applicable to subsequent semesters unless there is some kind of big change. And so in that case, I'll re-record this, but a lot of the things that you'll see in this video, if you're watching this in a future semester, will be applicable to what you see now. And if there are any slight changes, I'll mention those. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that you want to do is just log into my TCC, and of course, the easy way to do that, I already have it here, but the easy way to do that is just go to my.tccd.edu, and then once you go there, then you'll come to this point. You should already have your username and password. If you don't, you may want to go to password reset and help to take care of that. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. And so now that we are logged in, our course is here. And remember, again, this was recorded in spring 2017, but of course, you'll see this and it'll go along with your particular semester, and the section number may be different as well. But the main thing that you want to look for is the Math 1316 Plane Trigonometry. So once you come in here, this is how our course will look. And so I'm going to put this in student mode so that you'll see exactly what you will see when you get into it. And so the very first thing that you see here is the announcements. And so I'll just kind of scroll through these so that you'll know what information is there. I won't read them verbatim, but in this first announcement, just let you know about the actual textbook that we're using. More importantly, the course ID for the MyMathLab course that you'll need. Of course, you'll need an access code and the course ID. And I want to go ahead and say this now, that although I do have a textbook mentioned here because the school requires that we have that, you do not actually need the physical textbook. If you just buy the access code, whether you buy it from the TCC bookstore or if you buy it directly online through the registration process, that should be all that you need. MyMathLab has an integrated e-textbook inside of it, so unless you're one of those people that actually needs to physically touch the pages and and read that way, you can just get the access code and that'll be everything that you need. It'll probably save you some money as well. So that's the main thing I wanted to mention there. In the registration process, you want to go ahead and make note of this particular course ID. Now, of course, if you're taking this in a future semester, this course ID will be different, but the course ID will still be listed in this very first announcement here. So again, depending on when you're watching this, it may be different, but just know that whatever shows up here for you, that is what your course ID will be. For this course, I do allow calculators because sometimes you'll actually need it. I support the TI-83 or 84. Calculators like the TI-89 and 92 aren't allowed. And if you need to email me about anything, it's a lot of you in this course, so please, to make it more efficient, just make sure that you just put the course in the subject line as well as your section number and your last name. of course, if you do first and last name, that would be better. The next set of announcements here, if you haven't received my email, make sure that you check WebAdvisor to make sure that whatever email that you have in there is the same one that you want me to email you at. The next particular announcement is about the discussion boards. And so this just talks about what is required, because I do have to grade. Part of your final grade has to be on discussion board. So I've made up something here. To make it simple, I think the easiest thing to do is, as you're working through all of your problems for each of the homeworks, just pick 2 problems. You should be writing them all down, but if you pick 2 problems and let's say you take a picture of those and you post those, that will be, the easiest way to get your full credit. And of course, the 2 problems that you pick, no one else needs to pick those. However, there are other ways for you to be able to earn the discussion board points. And so after, of course, the introduction for units 1 through 4, you'll see here that you have post at least 2 distinct solutions. And so that is what I was just talking about. Well, actually, this is what I was just talking about here. But this one says post at least 2 distinct questions and respond to at least 2 of your classmates. And what I mean by that is, let's say you're having problems on a particular problem. You want to make sure that you get some help, and discussion board is one way to do that. Get help from your peers. So if you have 2 questions that you're wondering on the answer to, you can post those. But in addition to that, to be able to get the full credit, you also need to look at other people's questions, just like yours that they've posted, and actually answer those. Okay. And it's not enough to just do a response. I have to have an actual answer. So in your response, you need to have that answer, and that answer needs to be at least close to being correct. You may have an error here and there. Of course, I'll go back and check that, but you need to make sure that you're actually responding with an answer to their question, and not just saying, hey, yeah, I had a problem with that too, because you won't get credit for that. Okay. Here is how the discussion board schedule is. Of course, the introductory posts, as well as the unit discussions are all 20 points, and here are the dates that I have to have posts by. Okay. If you don't make these dates, you don't get the points. It's really just that simple. And again, if you're in a future semester here, these dates will be different. All right, so the next important announcement that I have here is I want to make sure that we all understand that there's going to be a window for midterm and final exam. So in this course, we have 8 quizzes which are unproctored, which means you just do them at home in MyMathLab. And then you have 2 proctored exams, which is the midterm and final exam. The midterm and final exam can be taken at home via ProctorU, and that is a lockdown browser and monitoring website that will basically monitor you and make sure that there's no one around, no cheating or anything like that that's going on. And so each semester we have to get the dates for those, so that's one of the reasons why I don't have them here. When you check your announcements, probably after week 1, you'll probably see those posted. So just know that around week 2 in the course, you need to look at this announcement again and plan properly. One of the reasons why I want you to know this is that for those of you who are not able to have the ProctorU software downloaded on your computer and use it, then you are faced with having to take your exam on campus. And so when you fill out the student profile survey, which I'll talk about here in a little while, you need to state that, but you also need to email me and or text or call me to let me know that you will be taking the on-campus exam option, because there's some things I have to do and get in place to make sure that those tests are there when you need them. For those of you that are going to take the exam at home via ProctorU, then you need to make sure that you schedule your time for an exam at least a week out. There will not be any extensions based upon, hey, I wasn't able to get a proctor on time, or anything like that. So I'm telling you now, you have to plan way in advance to be able to make sure that you get a time slot or a proctor available, because these are live proctors that will be on the other end while you're taking these exams. Okay. If you're interested in purchasing your access code and or textbook at the TCC bookstore, here is some directions for doing that online. And again, here is an announcement about the course ID, and this link here talks about going through the student registration process to get you access to the MyMathLab portion of this course. Okay. If you're having web browser issues, these are some links to help you out. And of course, if you need any extra information about the testing center and or midterm and final exams, I have some links down here to help you out. Okay, so that's mainly what the announcements are about. Want you to remember that the main thing here is that it has information about getting into MyMathLab, information about the schedules as far as when the dates that your midterms and final exams will be available to you. Okay. Now for the next thing, this bio sign, please make sure that you do this, because starting this particular semester that we're in here, students that are online students are required to verify their identity through this particular tool. So make sure that you watch the video that's here and then go through the steps necessary to make sure that you are properly signed on. Okay. So next is my contact information. Here's my email, and here is my phone number so that you can call me or text me. Again, best way to contact me is by email or text. Of course, I don't have an office phone here because, of course, we're doing this remotely. So if you need to call me, just use this number here. And of course, if any of this information changes, you will see it in here, and I'll change it as needed. All right, so let's go to the course information. All right, so in the Start Here folder, the first thing that you'll see that's important is this Watch This Video Now. And of course, you've probably seen this already, because if you clicked on that, then you're actually watching this. So this is the very first thing I want you to watch. Of course, the student profile survey that I mentioned before, this survey needs to be done mainly within the first week. And so this is for me to gather information about you, figure out where you're going to be testing at, and if there's anything that I need to be aware of in having to serve you during this particular time. And so if you fill out that information, that'll be of very much help to me. It's also required, because if you don't fill out that information, that's part of the things I need you to do to be able to be considered as certified for this course. So if you don't do that, that actually counts against you, and I can't certify you for the course. So again, for the spring 2017 semester here, this is the date. For the semester that you're in, you will see a different date if it's not spring 2017. Okay, so let me get this back here. And so of course, we're talking about MyTC and MyMathLab. Those are the two main things that we will be dealing with there. And so now we're going to go to this syllabus and calendar area. So if we look here, this is the district syllabus. So it just has, just basic stuff that we have to do to make sure everything's legal. But here is where your ICR is. So if you ever want to go back and check something about the course, in particular policies or whatnot, this is where you need to go. If you just want to look at the course calendar to see, hey, well, where do I need to be at now? Or since this is week 4, what's going on in week 4? Then you can just click on this, and I just have the course calendar there. The course calendar is also included in the ICR, but it's towards the end. So I just kind of extracted that and made another copy of it if that's all that you wanted to look at. As far as the materials that are required, again, the main thing is if you get the access code for this course, then you are good to go. If you want to get the textbook, that's fine, but it's not necessary to have it. And of course, you can click here to see if your computer actually meets the requirements for MyMathLab, which we call MML. If it meets the requirements for MyMathLab, then it probably also meets the requirements for ProctorU as well. So you want to make sure that you look into that. All right, so the next thing that I want to talk about is how to actually access MyMathLab. Of course, here's a link to it. There's a couple of different links that you can use to get there. I've used one here. So you can just do this and then bookmark it, and then you don't have to ever worry about it again. Here is your student registration information. So again, if you didn't get it or didn't see it in the announcement area, you can also get it from here. And it'll take you step by step on what you need to do. Again, I prefer that you just get the access code, so it'll save you some money. But if you want to get the textbook as well, that's totally fine. All right, so the next thing is netiquette. And so for this is just information on, since we have a discussion board, there's a proper way to write, certain things that shouldn't be going on in the discussion boards. And so I just outlined all that stuff here to make sure that you are aware of it. So as long as everyone acts civil, I think everything should be fine, no issues. But again, if I do see some conduct that is not supposed to be, then I'll refer you to this and we'll take the necessary actions to make sure that everything is fine. Now, the My Grades area, this is where you will check your grades. I'm not going to click on that because as an instructor, it doesn't show up for me, but you'll see all the rows or columns for what you'll be graded on in this course. And speaking of that, I am going to go back to the ICR here for just a second, just so that we can kind of go over how you're graded. So now I'll go ahead and pull this up here. All right, so here is the ICR, and I'm just going to skip a lot of this stuff because you can, read this on your own. But I do want to get to how you're actually going to be graded. So here we go. So in this course, your midterm exam is 30%, your homework is 15%, attendance is 5%, quizzes are 20%, discussion board is 5%, and final exam is 25%. And so just so that you know, your midterm exam covers the first 4 chapters, 1 through 4. Final exam covers 5 through 8. And your homework, this is all the stuff your homework that you do in MyLabs Plus, or I'm sorry, MyMathLab. And you also have practice exams that are in there, but they do not count as part of this 15%. The practice exams, the practice midterm and the practice final exams are there just for you. Of course, you can look at them. I will have worked out versions of that done so that you can kind of get an idea of what it's like. But mainly that is for you. So I'm not going to grade the review midterms or the review final exams. However, the way that attendance is taken, you may want to pay attention to that, because every time that a quiz is due, there should be a certain amount of homework that's due as well. And the day after that, I actually go in and assess how much have you done up to that point. And so if you've completed the minimum amount up to that particular date, then I give you credit for having attended during that time period. If you don't complete all of that, then you do not get attendance for that particular time period. And the thing is, the attendance is not retroactive, meaning that once you actually finish the assignments or whatnot, that you will actually get attendance for that. You actually have to be at the point where you're finishing everything within the time or within the schedule that we have, so that you can be counted as being in attendance during that particular time period. So that's very important for you to know. And even if, let's say, you're working on the homework and you attempt the quiz and you're not able to finish it because you just haven't got that far, you want to do that versus just saying, hey, well, I don't know everything, so I don't want to do the quiz. Okay, you can do the quizzes over and over and over again. So if you just have to, do the quiz and try to do what you can just to make sure that you make that attendance, then do that. Okay. All right, so I have more information about that in the ICR. Think right about, yeah, so here is kind of, it starts here, the statement of attendance. If you look at that, I go through the details of how I'm actually taking attendance, but I pretty much just explained it. So as long as you've taken the quizzes that you need to and worked on most of the homework within the time periods here, these dates that I have here, then you should be fine. Okay. All right, so I'm going to get rid of that, and now let's carry on. So now that we've looked at the ICR here again, and we've looked at the netiquette, let's go to the discussion board area. And don't know why this is popping up, but I'll just say it to ask it again later. Oh, okay, so some people have already went in and actually started working on this. So if you notice here, you have two parts to your discussion board, who's in your class, and there are some other questions. I am concerned about part one. For part two, that's just for you to be able to interact with other students. If you do not want to respond to that one, that is totally up to you, but it is required for you to respond to part one. After that, of course, here are your 4 units, and as I explained before, there are certain ways or certain things that you have to do to be able to earn full credit for these discussion boards. And so I've already went over that. You can read the ICR if you need to look at it again. So now that that's over with, if we look here in the course notes and supplements area, one of the things that I am wanting from you is that whenever you take a quiz or an exam, I am actually wanting to see your written work. It is not required that you turn in your written work, but it is required for you to turn in your written work if you want me to consider partial credit on your quizzes and exams. And what I mean by that is this: you'll be taking your course, your exams in MyMathLab. So when you do that, of course, when you enter in your answers, either everything is right or everything is wrong for each answer that you enter. If you've worked out a question correct on paper, but let's say somehow in between that paper and you typing in the answer, something happened and you kind of goofed and you pressed the wrong button, then your artifacts, as I call them, or your written work shows proof that, hey, you actually got that problem right. So if you send that to me, I can look at it and I can correct that for you. If you don't send that information to me, then I'm just going to leave your score as is, as the computer scores it, okay? So that's the reason why inside here, you see that I have quiz 1 artifacts, quiz 2 artifacts, also have midterm exam artifacts and final exam artifacts. This is just your written work. If you're going to submit this to me, please make sure that you write neat enough to where I can understand what you're writing. If I cannot read it, I can't grade it. So although you're not necessarily required to send in this work, if you do, make sure that it's neat and legible, okay? All right, so this is one way to get to these quiz artifacts. If you go to the units here, each unit has some lecture notes that are available to you, as well as some video links if I have any. And the video links that I'll put in there are videos that I have made, so it's coming straight from me. You also have a link to MyMathLab, just in case you need that. And you have a link to the discussion board. And once you're done working on your quizzes for that particular unit, then of course you can just come right here again and just upload your work if you're going to send it to me. Okay. So unit 2 kind of works the same way. And so I'll still have the link to MyMathLab discussion board. We also have the quiz artifacts here. Just kind of let you know what the lecture notes videos are about. So here are some notes that I've had. They're actually from a combination of previous textbook and just other notes I've had, and I've just kind of put them all together. So the section numbers are not going to go with what we have in our current textbook, but the information is there. And of course, here are some videos that I've made as well. And so some of these, this depends upon what I had time to make. Of course, I can make more of these as needed. And in the event to where I have some example problems that I may have worked, or if a student asks me to work an example problem, I will post it here in addition to posting it in the discussion board area if it's asked there. Okay. So all the unit folders pretty much look alike. Whenever you go to the midterm exam area, of course, here I have a midterm review. I have not made out the actual key to this yet. There are answers that are available, but I'm going to work these out for you so you can kind of see how I want you to write your work. Okay. So also in this, how to get registered into ProctorU. Midterm exam dates of availability. Of course, this will be different depending upon what semester you're in, but this is where you find out that information. What are you going to need whenever you are going to take your exam? And so you're going to need this type of information regardless of whether you are taking it online at home via ProctorU or you're going on campus to take it. And of course, this last announcement here just lets you know what it is that you're allowed to have, what you can expect, so on and so forth. Okay. So make sure that before you go register to get a proctor via ProctorU for your exams, or if you're going on campus, that you look at this at least a couple of weeks in advance. Okay. And so the final exam folder looks very similar to this. It just has stuff about final exam versus midterm exam. Okay. And so as far as the MyTCC or Blackboard overview is concerned, this part is over. So now what I want to do is actually go into MyMathLab and kind of show you how that looks and some tips on that. And then we'll be finished with this video. So we can just go here. I'm going to go ahead and sign in now. So I'm already in. So here, of course, it'll look different for you, but so once we're in, the main places that you're going to go when you first get in here is going to be homework and quizzes and tests. Okay. The study plan is an area where you can do extra problems, and every time you take a quiz or a test, your study plan is reset so that you can do extra practice problems if you want, but nothing that you do in here will be graded. So I just want to let you know that. Okay. What's going to be graded is what you do for homework and what you do for quizzes and tests. And of course, if you go to homework here, you see that you have your section homework there. You can also come here and see everything just by going to all assignments. And so I'll go ahead and click here to go to the beginning, and you'll see how you have, after all the sections for chapter 1, you have chapter 1 quiz. And then after all the sections for chapter 2, you have chapter 2 quiz, so on and so forth. If you notice, the quizzes here are originally set for 2 attempts. If you just so happen to need more, and there's a particular reason why you need more than 2, please let me know. I don't mind. It's just that I just need to know. Usually most people can get this done in 2 attempts. So that's why I just have 2 there. All right, so other than that, quizzes and tests, this just clicks and just goes straight to the quizzes and tests here. And so if you notice here, you have the final exam review and you have the final midterm exam review and final exam review. For right now, if you notice here, you do not see the actual midterm exam and you do not see the actual final exam. The reason for that is there is a window of time to where that final exam and midterm exam will be open. And so I'm recording this before those times actually show up. So after the beginning of the course begins, the first day of the course, that's when this particular actual exam will show up. And then, of course, probably after the drop date or close to the drop date is when the final exam will show up. If for some reason you need to take the midterm and or final exam early, more so the final exam early before it actually shows up for everyone to see, please let me know that and I can make it available for you if you're trying to finish the class early for some reason. But other than that, it will appear when it's supposed to appear, okay? All right, so now that we have that done, another place that I want to go to that's going to be very important is the Multimedia Library. And so in the Multimedia Library, this is sort of like the kernel or the central hub of all the media information that is entailed in MyMathLab. And so if you look here, let's say if I want to go to chapter 1, section 1.3, I have PowerPoint videos I could look at. I could look at the textbook through here. If this has any podcasts, I could have that. If I want to look at some chapter test prep videos, or if I want to learn through animation, if this has any animation examples, I could do that. Or if I wanted to look at some section videos, I could look at that. So I can click on all these, and so now you have the section video for 1.3. You have all the different examples that are presented in section 1.3. You have a quick review of section 1.3. Got 1.3 PowerPoint, and of course you can come here and click on the textbook. And so I'll just click on the textbook here so you can see how that actually looks. So you're here, and this starts section 1.3. Of course, you can come here and navigate. Let's say this is chapter 1.3. Let's say you want to get to the end of 1.3, and then you're there. If you want to go back into it to kind of see what kind of problems they have, you can do that. If you kind of want to read through, you can do that. So all that information is there for you. And again, this is why I'm saying that you do not need the actual physical textbook, because all the information is here, okay? All right, so the Multimedia Library is a great way to get some supplemental help in addition to the things that I have available inside of my TCC, as well as getting help via the discussion boards. And so on the discussion boards, I will be monitoring those from time to time, answering questions when needed, but I'm not going to be in a rush to answer questions, because I actually want you all to interact and answer questions of your peers. And so I think you'll learn better that way. So that's one of the reasons why I will kind of be monitoring but stay quiet. When needed, I will, come in and interject the answer if it's been sitting there a while. But I'm going to mainly leave the discussion board for you all, and I'll just come in there to see what your final work or final product is for the portion of it that I actually have to grade. All right, so the last thing, well, next to the last thing I want to talk about is if we go to chapter contents here, if you notice, if we go to chapter 1, we have all these different ways that we can get to the homework, quizzes, test, study plan, and we can also get to the textbook this way as well. So that's just another way that you can get there. Of course, Going back to the main menu, how I did that is I went to chapter contents and then just went to the chapter I needed to go to, okay? And if you want to view the table of contents or the preface or anything like that, of course, all that information is here. All right, so the last thing that I want to talk about is how to actually use MyMathLab whenever you're doing homework. So I'm just going to pick on a random section here, random problem. And let's see, problem went away from me, so I need to find that. All right, so I think I found it now. So whenever you are working on a problem here, of course, if you read it, you may look at it and say, hey, I really don't know what they're talking about. Don't know what this means, and that's fine. So you have a few options if you come up in that situation. Before I mention that though, I want to stress that it is very important for you to actually look at some videos or actually read the textbook or look at some PowerPoints before you actually start doing the homework. The worst thing that you can do is bypass everything I just said and just start working on the homework. And whenever you don't know how to do something, you come over here to question help and either do the help me solve this or the view an example, okay? The reason why I'm telling you that that's the worst thing to do is because what you're learning how to do is copy how someone else did a problem. And you're not allowing yourself to make the mistakes so that you can actually learn from those mistakes, okay? And you're not allowing yourself time to be able to process the information by either watching the videos, reading the textbook, or viewing the PowerPoints to get a brief overview of what's going on. So I highly recommend that you do that first. Now, after you do that and you come to a problem like this and you say, hey, I don't know what to do, you can do the help me solve this or the view an example. Help me solve this does exactly what it says. It's going to help you solve this problem. And so here I'm just going to kind of click through it. Just goes through and it's trying to give you information. And so now here you can see that it's asking you a question. I'm just going to type in anything. Oh, I didn't try to get that right, but I did. So here I'm going to purposely try to get this wrong. And so you see that whenever you get it wrong, it may give you 1 or 2 tries or whatnot, but you see how it said, all right, well, that was the right answer. And of course, we move on. And so you keep reading, and at some point it's going to ask you, and I'll just type that to be wrong again. And of course, eventually it'll give you the right answer for it. I'll just do that to be right. And so now, just click here. And of course, you'll see that it's giving you what the right answer is for what it's asking, okay? So, of course, I did a series of getting things right, getting things wrong. The main thing I want you to pay attention to here is this red X that's right here. It is there because when we hit close, this problem is going to change, okay? So if you notice, this is our current problem. We have this oblique triangle here. Well, sorry, not oblique triangle, scalene triangle here. And we have these different angles and whatnot. So whenever we do this, do you see how this changes now? Okay. And so because this changes, now we have a different question. And so that is a caveat of help me solve this. It is basically saying, hey, I'll help you do this one, but you have to do one on your own. If you don't want to go through that, then of course you can click on view an example. View an example will be an example like the one that you're dealing with, okay? The difference here is now that this is not going to be interactive. This is going to be a static example. So you'll just kind of read through it, go through it, and then once you're done, you'll kind of get the answer and say, okay, that's how they do it, and then you'll try to do it yourself, okay? Notice here that your problem didn't change, okay? Now, again, the reason why I said in the beginning, you want to make sure that you do some prep work before you do the homework is because you do not want to get caught in the trap of trying to learn through view an example and help me solve this, okay? It just doesn't work well that way, okay? You have to allow yourself some time to process the information and actually try to learn it through other means, okay? Other than just trying to work through the homework and get it. So, so this is, in my opinion, what I think is the best way to go about doing these problems is, let's say if you don't know how to do this problem, you don't understand what it's saying, then I would come here to view an example and I would keep reading until it gives me an idea of, okay, I think I know that now. Let me go ahead and try to do the rest of the problem. So at this point, let's say if I read this, the triangle is scalene, then I'm like, okay, if all three sides of the triangle are scalene, then it says if two sides are exactly the same, there's isosceles, and if all three are the same, then it's going to be equilateral. So once I know that, then I'm like, okay, I think I'm going to try to answer the first question. So I would go to close, try to answer the first question, and then after that, I would try to answer all the rest of them on my own without any help, with the understanding that you're probably going to get this wrong, but that's okay. Because the thing is, you want to learn from your mistakes. So it's better for you to learn from your mistakes because it may seem like it's slower in the beginning, but it'll actually be faster in the end. So allow yourself time in the beginning to learn from your mistakes, and you'll find out that you make less mistakes as you move further and further along in this course. Okay. So with that, that is all that I wanted to mention about MyMathLab. So I'll go ahead and get out of this. And that's pretty much most of what you need to know. The very last thing I want to talk about is the grade book. So now that I actually have something here, the grade book keeps track of what you work on, when you work on it, how many problems you got right, what your score is, how long you worked on it, and of course the date and time. And so I'm letting you know this because anytime you want to know something about, well, what is going to be my score for a particular homework, you'll see it in here. As far as your average, how I actually get that average is I'll actually get it from here, okay? So this is where I get the average from. The quiz average that I'll use in your final exam, final course grading will come from here as well, okay? Your test, they will not be averaged out. I'll use those two grades separately, but again, all that information is here. So, and since MyMathLab and MyTCC are not linked together, I have to manually update those things. Your course, your quiz average won't be updated into the end of the semester. Your test after the due date for the midterm and final exam, those will be updated, and your homework average will not be updated until the end of the semester as well. But you can come in here and look at this and see what your grades are. Okay, so no need to ask me, you'll know what it is because you have access to it. Okay. All right, and other than that, I think there's one other thing that I want to discuss. Do you see how we have this link here for the homework? So this same link will be available whenever you do your quizzes, if you want to go and review them, as well as whenever you do your practice midterm and final exams. The link will not be active for your actual midterm and your actual final exam because you can only take that once. And of course, once that's done, okay? And so you won't have any access to that. So that's one of the reasons why I have a practice exam available so that you'll kind of know what it is that you need to expect. All right, and so in saying that, this is the last thing that I wanted to talk about. So I know this video has been kind of long, but I wanted to make sure that I got everything in that I wanted to talk about so that we all are on one page, we all understand what is needed, the things that you need to start looking at so that you can be successful in this course. Again, if you have any questions or need to have anything clarified, please feel free to email me or give me a call or text me and ask me, and I'll be more than happy to help you out. So good luck to you in this course, and I'm hoping that everyone does well and you end up enjoying this course as much as I enjoy teaching. Take care, and I will see you in the coming weeks.